Welcome to Money on Tap. Money on Tap, your personal finance headquarters, where we bring out the professionals' experience and some fun in what we call three-dimensional investing, utilizing insurance, brokerage, and fee-based planning. That's what we do on this show. We look at all sides of the issues, and we bring a fully independent planning perspective to the table.
Welcome back. You are listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. My name is Seth Crustman, and joined here with Ben Brayshaw. We are the Money on Tap crew for you today. Dan is... Dan is Dan, and if you don't know what that really means, nothing other than we missed the heck out of him, and he's not around. He's taking a break for today, and that leaves us with this incredible show to bring you about giving cancer the boot, and it's a little bit of a public service announcement mixed in with some amazing information and opportunities for you to participate in giving cancer the boot and become educated on what some of these opportunities look like for you here. And what does that have to do with financial planning? Well, you stick around, you'll find out. With that, I want to say thank you to the people that have gone out and subscribed in the podcast world. That's huge for us here at Money on Tap. We thank you. And if that's you and you just maybe forgot, it slipped your mind to let us know, go ahead. Just send us a note at info@yourmoneyontap.com or give us a call at 855-226-8551 because we want to share the love here at Money on Tap and send you some Money on Tap gear. Ben, it's good to see you today, my friend. How are you?
Good. I'm feeling a moment of freedom. I just feel like there's a lot of space on this show today.
Freedom in the spirit. Freedom in the spirit.
Yeah, Dan's not here, and we can say whatever we want. Like there's no controls. I mean, I feel like Dan's like guardrails for me a little bit. and I appreciate guardrails, but every once in a while you want to go, you want to go off the road. Like we're four-wheeling today. I think we're going to have some fun.
I think we're going to have a great time, and don't let that discourage you, Dan. We miss you.
Off-roading the whole show.
You never know. Actually, when Ben's offline, Dan kind of cuts free a little bit too there, Ben. Just saying. We all do. We all love to have a good time here at Money on Tap. And if you're new to Money on Tap, guess what? Well, Ben and I are financial planners at Brayshaw Financial Group. So when you call 855-226-8551, that's what you're going to hear is Brayshaw Financial Group. And it's going to be Ben, Dan, or myself, or sometimes all three of us get on the phone and call you back because we want to make sure that you're getting the answers to your questions, no matter what those are. And that's just one of the things that we have as a mission here is to let you give access to great financial planning, great consulting. We love coming in where there's an opportunity to solve a problem. A lot of the time, it's a 10, 20-minute conversation. What do I need to do with my mortgage and my finances right now? Here's the lay of the land. How do we get down to business and get you the information you need to get on your way so that you're successful in your investing? And that's what we talk about here at Money on Tap. We're three-dimensional in investing. And anyways, that's a great show for you today where we get a chance to speak into what's going on in giving cancer the boot. That's our show for you here today. We're going to have a couple of guests on Money on Tap, which is not every week, but this week we love to bring Whitney Eichmeyer and Mark Creamer on Money on Tap with us. Now, Whitney,
it's going to be nice to have Mark back. I'm excited to have him in. Yeah.
We're going to get an opportunity to give him a hard time since it's not his first time on Money on Tap. And that's how you know your family with the Brayshaws and the Crustmans. It's like, what's going on here? I thought we were friends. No, no, we're family.
That's horrible. I think about, we've got, you, me, and Dan, and, we do this show regularly, and Tony joins us, and, Don Hannigan and Jeff Davis and Sheldon Drake. There's a lot of planners for our listeners. There's a lot of people you can work with. We cover, coast to coast, which is really great. And I think today's show, Seth, I really is going to get into the heart of a really personal, very difficult conversation about cancer. And cancer has been a ongoing and increasing pain for a lot of families, struggle for a lot of families. And this is where you can kind of get at it from both sides. And I'm excited about the show because that's going to bring a lot for people today in ways where everyone can get involved. Like everybody can have a conversation in today's show.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I cannot wait to get there with you. But guess what? We're going to have to take a little pit stop because it is time for Money in the News.
First up today in Money in the News, we have broke boomers are moving in with their millennial kids who are seething. Where were they when I needed help? By Jasmine Lee. This is a Fortune article, and I give you credit, Seth. I got assigned this article to talk about today, but this is a Seth special. I really like this article because it talks about how literally baby boomers are moving in with their children in a reverse millennial kind of scenario where, a lot of kids are coming home and, they leave college and come home, they live with mom and dad and so forth. But now mom and dad are moving in with the kids. And what's truly interesting about this is that the article goes into some really hard facts that are very difficult for the boomer generation and kind of the misconception of the boomer generation and the financial wealth. But it talks about how 49% of the boomer generation do not have any retirement at all. That is a very, very scary statement. And that means that if they don't have anything, and we look at inflation, we look at all these things, a lot of them are dependent on their children and or Social Security in its entirety, and that's it. There was an article about how the article goes into where one child was kind of on the outs with their parents during college and various years, and the parents didn't help them. And now the parents are seeking their help. And in response to the daughter's kindness, she was sending money to her parents on a regular basis in retirement. And eventually it led to them selling their house and moving in. And the article continues to go on how people are taking their garages and all sorts of different locations and allowing their parents to engage in moving in. But one of the interesting statistics was that the increase from boomers moving in to now is about 15% from 12.7%. And that was only like 5 or 6 years ago. I mean, it's on a massive increase. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that it's increasing because the number of boomers that are retiring is increasing. But that is a pretty substantial increase when you look at the overall percentage comparison of that being about a 25% increase from the previous amount. A scary overall piece. And I think that there's going to be some more developments. And I think when we talk about investments, we look at the demographic shifts and the lifestyle shifts and all of those pieces to figure out where to invest money because we want to be in something before the world is buying it, right? You want to buy the stock before everyone realizes they got the greatest little machine ever. Who wouldn't have paid $1,000 in Tesla 15 years ago, 20 years ago? I mean,
I would have. What one was I getting? I want it.
But that's the thing. We need to evaluate these things. And the reason we bring these things to Money in the News is because when we think about this, I think about all the boomers moving in with their children. Well, that might be a Home Depot or Lowe's purchase because people are going to be renovating their current properties, right? They're going to be adding those things. Now, all of a sudden, the boomers maybe don't sell their house. I know people who have they've given the house to their children and said, let us live here and you can live here too for free. So there's been a lot of that conversation around that. And I think, Seth, that's been kind of a personal conversation you've actually had at one point about where you guys are going to do. And these are conversations everyone's having with their parents and what to do. Because really, nursing homes, if you need real nursing home care, you're talking $8,000 to $12,000 a month. It could just be astronomically bankrupt the family. This is really, really important as we address this. But the article is interesting. What did you think, Seth?
I think it's an interesting expression of what is happening in the dynamic. The scenarios that they're discussing, some of the parents weren't treating their children very well. Even after they moved in, after they made it work for a year, they were being disrespected. It was an interesting scenario where it sounded more like the parent talking about the child that's now ready to leave the nest and hasn't figured out how to yet and is disrespectful, then the family saying, okay, that's enough of that. You need to move out. But it was the parent. And it's not what you would think how a scenario would work. But I get it. I mean, for one, that's a sticky wicket if you have mother-in-law, father-in-laws, even as much as you might love and adore them. The dynamics change. And, if this person was just refusing to help you with your children, those, when you needed it, like, for instance, one of them was in the hospital and they needed help with their kids and some childcare and they refused. But then they expect them to be able to open their house to them and have them move in at that time. And it's like, wow. So what does grace look like in the real world? Here we go. And I don't blame some of them for just buying a double wide or a single wide and saying, there you go. That's what we could afford. And we'll see you when we see you. People moving through this period of life have got to try to figure it out. And this is one of the ways that we're seeing more and more people do it, because we don't want to see them in nursing homes. And we want to care and love on our parents. And I love that part of it.
Don't speak for everybody, Seth.
Ben. Next up, the world is in for another China shock. Yes, China is flooding foreign markets with cheap goods again. This time, it isn't buying much in return. Now, this is Jason Douglas from the Wall Street Journal. Thank you very much for this article. So what's the backstory here? In the 1990s, late 1990s, early 2000s, the U.S. And the global economy experienced a China shock. This was a boom in imports from cheap Chinese-made goods that helped keep inflation low, but at the cost of local manufacturing and jobs. That's not a story that we're unfamiliar with. What is happening now is, you might say, well, that's great. China's going to go ahead and, create some goods and services for us that we're going to have to pay less, and we're happy with that. But the difference is where has China come from? Where were they at in 2000s, early 2000s, and where are they at now? At scale, their economy is very different. The goods and services that China itself is consuming are much higher end. The cars, the you name it, the amenities that first world countries are buying. Well, guess what? China's buying that stuff too, and now China's bringing that stuff to the world, like cars and high end amenities as a version of those cheaper goods and services. So no longer, the chair, the stroller, those kind of things. It's a very different scale for what they're bringing. Now, we've already started to see that we do not necessarily want to be dependent on China or anyone else for that matter. So we've started to kind of put some safeguards in place. Let's see. Trump was suggesting a 60% tariff for any of the Chinese cars that were, coming over here. And other countries have said, yeah, I think we might want to do that as well, because we have jobs. We have manufacturing. We have now these industries that support our economies that we want to see those dollars staying here. And who can blame anybody in that? Really? We get that. We get that. So with that, it's going to be a very interesting dynamic moving forward, because we just haven't seen China really bringing to the table at scale something that could have this kind of this kind of impact. So very interested to see what the next step is here. And thank you very much for the article. Ben, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, I was just really kind of I thought it was an interesting perspective to think that China is buying so little of the goods that they're making that there could be a potential reduction in our inflation, because they're going to try to export this stuff so low just to get it sold and to keep their economy going. If this is a win for our inflationary issues, wonderful. But there's no way that we're not going to be, leveraging tariffs to make China pay that to keep, American afloat. This is why China's after Taiwan. That's just the simple fact. They need that piece of gold. Taiwan is gold. They are gold to China. And that is going to be the one controlling feature that I'm scared about for our future. But that's going to do it for us for Money in the News.
All right, that's it. Hey, you can get a hold of us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. When we come back, we're going to be giving cancer the boot with, Whitney Eichmeyer and Mark Creamer. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Money on Tap. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, Dan Mickelon here with Brayshaw Financial. Looking for a hassle-free way to invest? Look no further than Brayshaw Financial Group. With Brayshaw Financial Group, you can start investing with as little as $100, enjoy a user-friendly platform with a diverse range of investment options. Visit Brayshaw Financial Group and start your investment journey today. Brayshaw Financial Group, investing made easy.
We appreciate you listening to Money on Tap. You can contact us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And now, more of this week's program.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We are talking about giving cancer the boot. That's what's on tap on this show today. Couple of favorite people here with us today, Whitney Eichmeyer and Mark Creamer. Now, Whitney's new to you all. She's first time on Money on Tap, and we're really blessed to have her with us today. Mark, you've been around, so you're a man that needs no introduction, and will gladly take care of that himself. Really fun to have you back, Mark, and excited to just spend some time with both of you. And like the show implies, this is a two-step approach for us here when we talk about boots. We're going to put on both of them. Not only are we going to approach giving cancer the boot with Whitney from the American Cancer Society. Now, Whitney is Senior Corporate Relations Manager with the American Cancer Society, and it just brings a really unique perspective to our show around that corporate level of the American Cancer Society, what's happening there, as well as some great public service announcement here as we are in Colon Cancer Awareness Month. This is a topic that is, of course, near and dear to us at Brayshaw Financial, with several of our clients' family having either, gone through some cancer. We've lost loved ones to cancer, specifically colon cancer. And it's not necessarily one that reaches the airwaves as often as we think needs to have some due perspective around. So thank you, Whitney, for bringing that with us today. And Mark, like I said, it's good to have you with us. Now, Mark is going to be talking to us about some of the other side of this, which is, the perspective that how can you protect your loved ones in the event that they, haven't had an event with cancer. What are some pieces that you need to be aware of that you can put into place? It's really a unique service and product that Mark brings to the table with us. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be mentioning it here at Money on Tap. And we just love that it's one that is not a high dollar, but it is one that can really, as far as the expense of it, but it is a service and a product that can really impact a family in a remarkable way. That we've got some stories there for you as well. With that, a lot of you are listening to us on the radio. We love that you're here with us on the radio, and you're probably wondering, okay, how do I get this information to the people in my life that I love, I care about? Well, it's really simple, because we are also in the podcast venue. I know we say that, it's one of the asks we always have here, is please go subscribe. And when you do that, please let us know at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And we want to send you some Money on Tap gear. So that's all great, but even more important on this issue is that you can take that podcast and send it. You can just text it. You can text it. You can email it to your loved ones so that it's a light touch for them. It's like, hey, I care about you. And this is information that's important, without having to go get into the details of whatever their life is at the moment and figure it out for them. They'll take care of that. And they'll reach out to us, and they'll reach out to Mark and Whitney however they need to, or whoever's in their life that they care about that they need to hand this off to. But that's important for you guys to have with you, because this is a tool now moving forward to protect yourself, protect your family, and maybe it's a bigger population of advocacy and support that you're interested in here with Whitney today. With that, all right, That was about, boy, I swear that was 15 minutes right there.
You're fine, Seth. You're fine. You got to keep going.
On fire. Good coffee. And we want to go ahead and touch base with you, Whitney. Please tell us a little bit about you and the American Cancer Society and how we get to support you guys here today.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. I feel like I don't even need to introduce myself, but yeah, so I work here at the American Cancer Society. Like Seth said, a senior corporate relations manager. So I work with businesses and accounts and definitely work really closely with individuals who are battling cancer and really just around education around cancer prevention and early detection and how to prevent cancer as well. So there's a lot of ways that we're working with not only companies, but individuals and families as well. I've been with the American Cancer Society for about 7 years, but I did start out as a volunteer. So I'm a 22 plus year volunteer at this point. Cancer has touched me in many, many ways. The first time cancer came into my life was when my mom was diagnosed with cancer when I was 14. So I got involved at that very young age and have not left since because unfortunately have known and have met some amazing people as well that have just been tremendously impacted by cancer, and it just doesn't seem to be going away. So I'll continue to be a part of the work that we do here at ACS and continue to support, like I said, those individuals and those families and get some education and some awareness out there on, what's going on in the world of cancer and make sure that cancer is top of mind for people and they know what they need to know.
So that's a great introduction to you and a little bit about the American Cancer Society. We don't get an opportunity like this very often, Whitney. So would you please tell us a little bit about the American Cancer Society? What does that mean to the people that are listening here today when they hear that? And then what are some ways that if let's say that they're a company or an organization or a family office that are, passionate around either awareness of cancer or, really putting an end to this epidemic of cancer. What does some of that look like for our listeners?
Yeah, definitely. Well, here at the American Cancer Society, we are, of course, the number one funder of cancer research, next to the U.S. government, of course. But nonprofit-wise, we are the number one funder of research. So that is one of our main focus priorities here at ACS is research. We have inside research that's being done and research that we fund and grant externally as well. And then we have our work that we do in the halls of the government, our advocacy work where we're fighting to make sure that people have access to care and access to treatment options, which is very important. We have our programs and our services to make sure that we're supporting those families and individuals who are battling cancer to make sure that we're able to help support them with some of the many, many burdens that come along with a cancer diagnosis that not everybody thinks of. And I'm sure Mark will have some thoughts and resources in that department as well that I know are very, very helpful when a cancer diagnosis happens in the home. So that's a little bit about, some of what we do, but definitely we're here supporting. We're here educating the community. We educate healthcare professionals. We're educating individuals. We're educating businesses. Our employees are staying healthy. So that's pretty much who we are. In fact, 1 in every 2 newly diagnosed cancer patient calls us at our 1-800 number. That's one of our resources, our National Cancer Information Center, 24 hours a day. There's a live person on the other end, a trained live cancer specialist on the other end to receive information. We have, like I said, healthcare providers that call in for information, questions that they have, resources that they're looking for cancer patients. We even have, of course, we have cancer patients calling in, caregivers calling in. So we're definitely here as a resource for the community. Did I answer your question? I feel like there was a 2-parted question.
Well, you're answering the questions. Yeah, you're answering the questions. Thank you very well. And it's as I suspected, it was going to be one of those conversations that every answer creates another question. And and one of one of the things I was wanting to understand a little bit more about when you were describing the breadth and the depth of your services that you really offer, was around the corporate relations manager piece there for you specifically. As we have people that are listening to us today that own businesses or are working for businesses, some of these are, very different in size and scope. How do they connect with you? How do you support them? Or what is, if this is something that they are, building more as a foundation of their culture around their business, what are some ways that you find unique that they can start to express that?
Yeah, definitely. We work with companies in a multitude of ways, really depending on, kind of like you hit it on the head. I feel like what they're interested in, what they're passionate about. But our partnerships are always mutually beneficial. We find a way to support the company that we're working with. We definitely provide the information, resources to them as an employer, and how we support them as an employer, especially if there's cancer that happens in the workplace, and how that can affect company culture, how that, how does an HR manager support, their employee when they're going through cancer, and providing that type of information and that type of resource from an employer standpoint, but then also getting information, education, and resources in the hands of their employees as well, to make sure people are getting screened on time. We have lots of statistics on, the cost of cancer care, not only from an individual and a standpoint, but from an employer standpoint as well. So how, when a cancer diagnosis does happen in the workplace, how that actually affects their business. So really working with companies to make sure that we're supporting them in making sure that their employees are healthy, staying healthy, and in the event of, a possible diagnosis, supporting through that as well. So that's a little snippet of kind of ways that we work to support employers and companies.
All good. All really good stuff, Whitney. Thank you very much. You're listening to Money on Tap, and we are talking about giving cancer the boot this week on Money on Tap, and really bringing a couple of great opportunities for you to really connect around the issue of cancer, whether it's corporately or individually or protecting your family. We're going to start to get into some more of this here in just a little bit. We're going to take a quick break. You can reach us or Whitney or Mark at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Please remember to go and subscribe to the podcast while you're at that. And also, please share this with anyone that you think could really receive a benefit from just having a touch and an understanding of how they can fight cancer, how they can be aware, what steps they can take to protect themselves, their family, their community. We'll be right back. You're listening to Money on Tap. Hey guys, Seth Cressman with Brayshaw Financial Group. Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Look no further than Brayshaw Financial Group. Our team of experienced advisors is dedicated to helping beginners like you build wealth through smart investing strategies. Visit BrayshawFinancial.com today and start your journey towards financial independence. Brayshaw Financial Group, your partner in wealth creation.
You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We are giving cancer the boot here on Money on Tap. It is Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And with that, we've got Whitney Eichmeyer with us and Mark Creamer with us today. Fantastic opportunity for you to become aware of ways that you can really help put a stop and an end to cancer or protect your family as well. with that, Whitney, how can people really get in touch with you at the ACS and get the ball rolling on whatever their project or their needs are?
Yeah, definitely. Reach out to me directly. My phone number is 503-915-9635. Feel free to email me as well, whitney.eichmeyer@cancer.org. That's WHITNEY.EIKMEIER @cancer.org.
Well, that's a mouthful. But that's great. And you can email us to info at Your Money on Tap. We'll get you in touch with Whitney for sure. Whitney, I'm super thankful that you're here today. This is a big part of our world. You talk about financial planners. It's like, where does cancer have to do with it? It's like I would say every week, every month, we have a client, some sort of relationship that engages in an event or story around cancer, whether it's them personally, a spouse, a child, a parent. It just seems like it's just everywhere on some level. And, I was actually one thing I learned from the first part of the show was the fact that you guys do your own research. I thought you guys only subsidized research, so that you do some own in-house research, I think is fantastic. And it's nice to hear that. One part of this is that, cancer awareness is not just about figuring out whether someone has cancer, right? It's the foundational piece of supporting ACS and other cancer organizations we talked about. I know we've done a number of shows, Seth, you, me, and Dan, on charitable trusts and charitable giving and so forth. Are you guys completely able to facilitate, arrangements around charitable giving and so forth? Whitney, is that something you guys are comfortable with?
Yes, that's definitely something we do each and every day, and really that's needed in order to help move our mission forward. We wouldn't have made the amazing accomplishments, in the world of cancer research without those types of donors. So very, very well needed and very much appreciated.
Yeah, a lot of our listeners are always looking to enhance their dollars, and there's so many tax advantages to giving. That's one thing that's great about our tax code is it really embraces the philanthropic person, which is not appreciated, I think, as much as what's really out there. So for business owners, for wealthy individuals, and you don't have to be super wealthy, but there's lots of different avenues for lots of people to give. It all adds up, and I think it all makes a difference. If you don't have somebody to help you with charitable giving, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to talk to you about that. Whitney, they have resources there. This is a big piece of how we help others in the cancer world. Whitney, tell me a little bit about how you guys engage in the giving piece. Like, how do you guys, if one of our listeners today says, you know what, I really am looking for a philanthropic, opportunity. I really do need maybe a tax deduction. I'm looking for organizations, or, hey, I've got an estate and I've got more money than I know what to do with. I've got no children and I want to leave funds to somebody. Tell us a little bit about what that looks like for somebody. So, everyone's a little hesitant to make the phone call. I think that's where I'm going from.
Yeah, definitely. It's really dependent on the individual and, where they're at in their process. Do they have a financial advisor? Do they have an attorney that they're regularly working with? We usually will sit down with that individual, support them through the process. If they need help finding a financial advisor, or if they already have one, we'll bring them into the conversation and really support them through the entire process to make it as smooth and easy for them and what makes the most sense for them and their finances. That's
great. When it comes to cancer awareness, where do you feel personally from a directive from ACS, where do you feel like the ball is missed the most in society? What is the thing that you guys are trying to communicate that nobody seems to be hearing or picking up?
I think the link between the work that we've done here at ACS is sometimes missed. You even just mentioned some of our intramural work that we do, the research that we do. One example of that is, we found the direct link of smoking causing cancer. That was us here at American Cancer Society. People don't really realize that was due to the work that we've done. And then another aspect, too, is how local we really are, being that we are a nationwide, we're really a global nonprofit. People think, we're this huge nonprofit, and, I maybe don't want to donate to that because, I'm not even sure what they're doing, and that's not going to help my neighbor or, my cousin down the street, when really the work that we are doing is impacting our local community much more than you can imagine.
I didn't know that. I really didn't. I think that is amazing, actually. What are the number one resources that ACS provides? Like what are the pinpoint things that you guys are trying to accomplish each day with people?
Number one resource. The first thing that I think is our go-to, I touched on it a little bit already, is our Cancer Information Center. That's kind of like our number one stop where you can find all of the resources that we have and all of the resources that are in the community that maybe American Cancer Society is not provider of. So we are really a hub of information. And so calling that 1-800 number or even going to our cancer.org website is kind of a starting point to get you really navigate you to wherever you need to go based on what resource you're needing, what information you're needing, whether it's giving through a trust or looking for a new doctor in your community.
Wow, that's actually a lot when you're talking about all sides of a massive issue. A couple of things. We're going to have to take a break here in just a little bit, and we want to make sure that we leave some meat on the bone here for Mark. He's got a lot to cover with us as well. Before we do take that break, can you give us a little bit okay, so this is colon cancer awareness month, right? And with that, what are just specifically some of the statistics that people may not be aware of? And what are some of the resources that you would say, hey, this is where you need to focus the next 20 minutes of your day? That's it. We're saying 20 minutes of your day today, do these things and be aware of these things.
Yeah, definitely. Being that it's Colon Cancer Awareness Month, recently the suggested age for getting colon cancer screening was lowered. Unfortunately, we are seeing younger age diagnosis. So if you're 45 or older, you should be getting your regular colon cancer screening. So that's
everybody wanted to hear that today, right?
Yep.
Everybody signed up to get that.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear it. I just missed it completely.
Well, it's definitely there has been progress in the world, and in the world of colorectal cancer screening, it's there are at-home kits, fit kits now. It's a lot more. It's less invasive, I would say, than it used to be. So get your screening scheduled.
Yeah, my headphones are still not working, Seth. Still not working here.
I heard less invasive. I was my blood pressure just went down a little bit.
Well, I also think that Mark might be able to chime in on some incentives for getting screenings up.
Absolutely. We'll actually pay you to go get those things done every year. So I'll get into that a little more later.
Mark will personally pay you, folks.
Not me.
You heard it here first. He's opened up the pocketbook. We'll get more into that in just a minute. You're listening to Money on Tap, and we are giving cancer the boot here at Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. And those numbers will work just fine, too, if you want to get in touch with American Cancer Society, Whitney, or Mark at Globe Life. We're going to take a quick break. While you're at it, please subscribe and thank you. Let us know that you did so we can send you some Money on Tap gear. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for personalized guidance to kickstart your investing journey? Look no further. Brayshaw Financial Group and our planners are here to help. Our team of experts will provide personalized advice tailored to your financial goals. Visit BrayshawFinancial.com today to schedule your free consultation. Brayshaw Financial, investing made easy.
We appreciate you listening to Money on Tap. You can contact us at 855-226-8551 or email us at info@yourmoneyontap.com. And now, more of this week's program.
Welcome back. You're listening to Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. We are giving cancer the boot here on Money on Tap. And with us today, Whitney Eichmeyer and Mark Creamer. Thank you so much. We've really spent quite a bit of time with you, Whitney. Just thank you for what you've shared with us so far. And also feel free to chime in if there's anything in the rest of the show that we were going to cover here with Mark and Globe Life. Mark, it is so good to have you back with us. We actually did a show, about a year ago, I want to say, where we just had Mark on and just got to really know you and your heart for families and helping families have coverage in place for them in the event that there is a cancer event in their lives. Recently, Mark, I'll just share this little bit before we get going here. Mark and I were having coffee. We live not too far away from each other. And 2 years ago, I'm almost 2 years past my cancer event, which was that's terrifying. It was just absolutely terrifying. And I had we've got some other pieces in place for my family and some protection. And Mark was a new relationship to me. But Mark showed me some of the numbers that for kind of the ultra premium plan that he has available for the supplemental care on the insurance. It was roughly $80 a month, I think, Mark. And I think the takeaway was you guys would have paid me out, just put cash into my bank account somewhere to the tune of, I want to say, $25,000, if not $30,000, just for what I went through. And, thank God we had some other parts and pieces in place, but I'm terrified to know the statistics around the people that are listening here today, that if they were to, find out that, go do a colon cancer screening, which please do, and find out that they have cancer, that there's really not much other than whatever benefits the health insurance company is going to provide them, which pays the doctors and pays the health services, but doesn't really cover there is a ton of additional costs in this deal, people, when you get a diagnosis. Let me testify to that. And it is not an easy nut to crack. So, Mark, thank you for being here to help us out and help our listeners out today to know, hey, there's options and you're not stuck, and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg for you to really take care of your family in the event that statistically this can happen.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me back, guys. I really appreciate it. This is an issue that hits pretty close to home, and I'll just kind of catch folks up just a little bit. My wife has had Lyme disease for 26 years. Now, I know it's different than cancer, but it's a very difficult illness to have. And our family personally has been through bankruptcy because of all of the out-of-pocket expenses that went along with that. And I got back into the insurance industry a while back, about 7 years ago, with this company. And when I really realized the financially devastating costs of cancer, this made a lot of sense to me. And I'll just tie back into American Cancer Society. My first year, I was doing a walk for life. And one of the activities they had everybody do was list all of the people throughout your lifetime that you've known that's been touched by cancer personally. And I think I had 85 people or more on that list. And it just kind of really hit home to me. And when I think about some of the statistics that they've put together and the pervasiveness of it, there's the financial piece usually comes with what we call out-of-pocket expenses. The health insurance is going to pay for doctors and clinics to do their thing, but they oftentimes will not and don't pay for things like time off work. You can't go to work. Maybe you got extra child care, or maybe you have to have special food or special clothing or travel. All of these out-of-pocket expenses are things that jump up for people after the fact, and they just don't realize. Now, unlike car insurance or home insurance, there's nobody out there saying you have to look at getting a cancer policy, or by law you have to do it. This is all a voluntary thing. And when you look at the numbers, 60% of cancer patients are going to use most, if not all, of their savings. About 43% are going to withdraw monies from their long-term investments. 30% of cancer patients end up switching their living situation. They may have to move in with parents or kids or whatever. But here's one that really jumps out at me. 74% of cancer patients will sometimes skip or delay treatment because of the fact that they can't pay their bills. So what we do is we come in with an insurance policy that basically says if we can get to them before a diagnosis, we are going to put money in their bank account as they go through treatments. And these numbers can really add up.
That's incredible. You mentioned Lyme disease, and Seth knows this. And my son, my 16-year-old son, suffers from chronic Lyme. Mm-hmm. It's been massively debilitating for him, and mobility has been crushed. Out-of-pocket expenses are massive. No one understands, chronic illness, that the insurance companies just don't cover everything. And you think, oh, well, I'm covered. It's just, it doesn't work that way. And, it's like every time I turn around, it's another treatment, another this, another that. May or may not be covered. You're fighting with the insurance company. I have to pay it out of pocket and then fight them later. It's
right.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely the truth. And you mentioned 85 people. I mean, I think that number's low.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you hundreds and hundreds of clients I've had, or thousands of clients I've known that have something connected with somebody somehow, some way, with cancer. I mean, it's horrific. I actually have a prayer list on my phone where I pray for my friends and family of the people who are stricken with cancer or lots of diseases, or have lost a family member that I pray for almost daily. So it's just. But I think about this, and as you were talking, Mark, I was just thinking about the number of people I've known that have had a heart attack. Or the number of people I've had, I don't know. It's way lower. And I've had family members die of a heart attack. Way lower than cancer. Cancer has just touched the lives of almost everybody, everywhere, somehow, some way.
Yeah, the statistics are 3 out of every 4 families are going to be touched by cancer. 1 out of every 3 men. So we got 3 men on this podcast, one of us in the future, that sort of thing, or has had it. 1 out of 3 women, and unfortunately kids as well. And again, we don't think about these things oftentimes until it's too late. And that's the biggest challenge for me with getting this information out to people. It's not a topic we want to talk about, but we have to start talking about it to be able to protect them. And I think Whitney's told me the other day that the projected number of people that are going to be diagnosed this year from last year has gone from 1.7 million to 2.1 million, I think. So it's getting much, much worse very, very quickly. And we as a company, we have to get in front of people before a diagnosis happens so that we can help them if it should happen.
Whitney, what does the American Cancer Society link to the whatever that is, a 25%, 20% increase in cancer diagnosis? It's just as a projection. Is it on the rise generally, or and have you guys ever compared your projections to actuals on that stuff?
Yeah, it's the first time we've ever estimated over 2 million cancer diagnosis, and that's here in 2024. So definitely shocking and saddening to see. But my opinion, there's still research, of course, that's being done, but we definitely know that when COVID happened, 90% of people were not getting their regular cancer screenings. And unfortunately, cancer screenings do save lives. And, the earlier detected, the more treatment options you have, the more care, the more options you have for care. And so being that it's Colon Cancer Awareness Month, during a colonoscopy, you might find a polyp, get it removed and not even hear of it. Sometimes your doctor doesn't even tell you if you had polyps and removed them. And so not getting that screening and then that polyp then becoming cancerous, that is very likely what's resulted in these increased diagnosis.
And you guys alluded to it earlier, our paying for those screenings. And this is something that our company definitely wants to see people do, is go get your screenings, colonoscopies, mammograms, ultrasounds, PSA tests for prostate screening. So for that colonoscopy on our top level plan, every year we'd pay $240 back to anybody that's on the policy that's gone to do that. I oftentimes call that the go out to dinner on Mark money. But these are the things, and people don't know about these plans as often as I'd love to have them know about it. But as people go through their treatments is how we're going to pay them money. So when they're first diagnosed, we'll give them, I'm going to talk on our top level plan, we'll give them $6,000 when they're diagnosed. We give them $800 for every day that they spend in a hospital for treatment for cancer. Radiation chemo. $480 for every single time they sit in a chair for those things. Bone marrow transplant for leukemia and blood, $30,000 is what we pay for that benefit. So there's about 30 different benefits, and I don't want to go through all of them because we'd have to do a whole nother show. But one of the other things with our company, and I don't know if I even mentioned it, I'm with Globe Life Family Heritage Division. The biggest benefit that people love with our company is that if they don't use it, down the road, we give 100% of their premiums back to them. So there's really no reason not to have a plan as long as it's not taking food off your table. And they're so inexpensive that doesn't happen very often.
That's incredible. 100% return of premium. So that is one of the things that I guarantee you your car insurance won't do. At least I haven't heard of that.
Right. Yeah.
My health insurance hasn't offered to do. I'm trying to think of how many other places we can come up with a return of premium on such a valuable coverage. And right out of the gate there, you're talking about, it doesn't matter what kind of cancer you get. If you get diagnosed with cancer, you're getting a check for $6,000.
Correct. Yeah. For any internal cancer, if it's a skin cancer, we'll give them a $1,200 benefit right up front because usually you don't lose a lot of work right away on a skin cancer. It can be very, very serious. But, when you get that internal cancer, there's a really significant chance you're going to be out of work for a while. And you've got high deductibles on your health insurance that you got to pay before they'll even really get into it with you.
Yes, absolutely.
I think one of the things that a lot of our listeners don't really have awareness on, and I know we're running out of time here, Seth, but, a lot of life insurance policies have added cancer benefits to the death benefit, where instead of collecting your life insurance policy, for $500,000, they might buy you out for $400,000 today as an early settlement. And it's become more and more of an interest for a lot of these insurance companies for various reasons as well. But if that's something you're concerned about and you have a life insurance need, you can kind of combine some of these and maybe something Mark has. I think there's a lot of opportunities that these insurance companies are trying to insure these risks and give people options, and I like that.
Yeah, I want to make a comment on that because I love the fact that the life insurance companies have those options, but we really want to be cautious and make sure we understand the language in the policy because sometimes the policies on the life insurance side say you have to be terminally diagnosed before you can access the money. Well, 6 out of 10 people these days, because of the work that ACS is doing in terms of finding better treatments and research, 6 out of 10 people are surviving a diagnosis. So what's the reason you purchased the life insurance in the first place? Is it to do final expenses or is it to, use this money during life? Well, that's a discussion you guys can have, but this is a product that supplements that really is a no-loss kind of a product.
Well said. We are going to have to wrap up this show with you guys today, and it would be brilliant to have you guys come back as a pair or individuals again and really just spread the awareness that we need to have here. First of all, Whitney and the American Cancer Society, thank you so much. With Whitney, please reach out to her. You can get a hold of her via us as well, whether it's just getting in touch around your company, your organization, your family, getting screenings. That's one of the things we're talking about here right now. If you do not have a screening in place or some kind of a process in place to make sure that you and your family do not have cancer, that's a great place to go as well in this process of giving and gifting. Let us help you out here at Money on Tap at Brayshaw Financial Group to really put it together with your team to see how that can work for you and your family and this dynasty that you're probably working on building right now. Love the opportunity to do that with you as well. Mark, you just mentioned the life insurance piece with trying to understand what do you have under the hood. We talk about that here at Money on Tap. Like, what do you got going on? Do you really understand the policies that you have in place? Do you know how vulnerable you are right now? Let's put you in touch and really make sure that Mark has the opportunity to put some pieces in place for you to think about how you can protect your family a little differently, okay? Because you probably don't have the coverage that you think you have right now. And having something like this in place is so critical for not only peace of mind, but really the protection of your future with your family as well. It's a pleasure to have both of you here with us. Thank you so much for joining us at Money on Tap, you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
We'll be in touch with you at Money on Tap. You can reach us at 855-226-8551 or info@yourmoneyontap.com. Be successful in your investing, and we cannot wait to join you here again, same time, same place next week.
The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of this radio station and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. No strategy, product, material, or tool mentioned can assure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information, products, materials, or tools mentioned should be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. This show may be subsidized in whole or in part by a product sponsor or issuer. Securities and advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC, and a registered investment advisor. All other services offered through Brayshaw Financial Group LLC are independent of Osaic Wealth Incorporated. Osaic Wealth Incorporated and Brayshaw Financial Group do not provide tax or legal advice. Main office is located at 116 South River Road, Bedford, New Hampshire 03110, and can be reached at toll-free 855-226-8551.
Well, bye.